So let's bring in business developer, and entrepreneur, Tommy Maoli. Tommy, it seems like the president is just slapping all these countries with sanctions. I guess the question is, are those sanctions working?
Well, I don't think they're working today. I think eventually they will work. I call it the greatest chess move in the history of the country. It's by any president. He's clearly...
That's a big thing to say.
It is, because it's a negotiation tactic. He's going to get them to the table. Is he going to win? I think he's going to get a portion of it back. And I think that's his ultimate goal. He wants to force them to the table. He's never going to get every dollar back. It's impossible. The U.S. buys 10 times more goods and services from overseas countries than they buy from us. There's no way to balance it, but he's going to get some of it back, and that's his ultimate goal. Look what's going on with Harley-Davidson.
We'll get to Harley-Davidson in a moment. I want to stick with sanctions for now because, trade and sanctions, tariff war, trade, and all of that gets confusing sometimes. But when we're talking about sanctions, we've seen sanctions before. Obama and a lot of countries sanctioned Russia over Crimea, did not stop Russia from behaving badly. So sanctions don't always work.
No, they don't always work, but we're talking about a global movement now. I think he's made it clear this is the way the U.S. is going to operate moving forward under his administration, and I think that people are starting to take it serious. Look at what happened with Turkey today. The market's unraveled. I mean, how long can they stand up to that?
So here's my question on that. This is a interconnected world. We all know this. You, as a businessman, definitely know this. And when certain markets in the world are tanking, it can also affect U.S. markets. Are you worried about a blowback?
Listen, there's definitely going to be blowback. It's already happening today. Look at what happened. The U.S. markets react to what's going on. If you look at most pension funds and 401k plans, they have international holdings. Everyone's getting hit by it, but But you still think sanctions are a good idea? Well, listen, I think they're a good idea to a point. I think they're going to work. I think clearly, all of these countries have been eating our lunch for years. I think he's right. I think Trump is right. I think he's on the money. I think it's about the execution and how he's handling it.
But you're also saying investors in the United States need to fasten their seatbelt because it's going to be a bumpy ride.
It's going to be a bumpy ride. At the end of the day, I'm a new car dealer. I own new car dealerships. I'm a real estate developer. I think
you know about seatbelts.
I know all about seatbelts. Absolutely, I know it well. And I think it's going to hit the U.S. I was just talking about this to someone the other day. We had some meetings with some of the manufacturers. It's not just the imports. It's not Lexus and BMW and Maserati and Mercedes. It's the U.S. companies. It's Ford, General Motors, Chrysler. They're going to get hit also. All of their parts come from overseas. People don't.
So you're combining sanctions and tariffs.
Yes,
you
absolutely.
See it all as one part.
It's all as one party. The reason he's putting sanctions in place is because they won't agree to the tariffs. They won't agree to the trade balance. That's why the sanctions are being put in place.
Okay, let's move on to Harley-Davidson. The president is telling his supporters to boycott Harley-Davidson. Good move, smart move?
Start your engines. It's Trump versus Harley-Davidson. I think Harley-Davidson just crashed with no helmet on, no pun intended. It's perplexing why, in an administration with the most focus on bringing manufacturing back to the U.S., that they would decide to move a plant overseas.
Well, they're saying it's because President Trump slapped steel tariffs on the Europeans. The Europeans slapped tariffs on motorcycles, so they're moving overseas. Didn't President Trump start this? Of
course. He absolutely started the fight. There's no doubt. But I don't think Harley-Davidson wins that. We're talking about an American iconic brand. You were talking about a brand. It's one of the only brands in America that people will tattoo on their bodies.
Right, and they're feeling that things are so bad now with the president's trade war, they have to leave, and we have to leave it at that. Tommy Maoli, thank you so much for your analysis.
Pleasure.
Coming up.